I can't forgive my husband. As a background, we're married for 2 years and expecting a baby, almost 9 months pregnant. I, 30F, come from a Catholic family, and I take my relationship with God very seriously. It actually shapes other areas of my life. When I met my husband, 31M, he seemed to me very unhappy inside, although he was smiley, etc. My husband comes from a liberal family, and that's how he lived. Very soon, when we started dating and it was obviously going somewhere, I told him I was going to wait to have sex until marriage and asked if that was okay with him. He agreed, although he admitted it would be difficult for him. On the other hand, he was shortly out of a previous relationship that was largely based on sex, so he said he was open to trying a different approach. Long story short, we fell in love. I didn't push him to adopt my views on life and faith. He himself was interested, asked a lot about God. We talked tons. I had the impression that no one had ever shown him faith as a relationship. After some time, he returned to the church, which was quite shocking to me. Then, when things were getting serious, I mustered up the courage and asked about his past, the number of partners, his approach to sex. He said that with one exception, sex was always the result of a close relationship for him, and he had no adventures. This exception was one-time sex with a girl he dated shortly after breaking up with his previous girlfriend and before dating me. I have to admit, it was hard to swallow considering my background, but I decided to invest in this relationship because the stories showed that he was generally serious about sex. I also asked if he was always faithful to his partners, and he said yes. Next chapter, we're engaged and I'm finding out he's still addicted to smoking. He previously said that he managed to overcome this addiction. As it turned out, after some time the addiction returned and he was ashamed to say it. Then, a month before wedding, I'm finding out that his one-in-a-lifetime sex adventure actually happened when we're getting to know each other, although we weren't seriously involved yet at that point, first few meetings. But the fact remains that at the same time he was sleeping with another woman, they weren't in a relationship, and was starting to see me. And they had sex not once, but twice. It almost made me cancel our wedding. We had some terrible conversations about honesty and broken trust. Then he decided to tell me some other facts from his life that I didn't know about before. I saw how ashamed he was of his former life. He assured that he was no longer hiding anything. I decided to forgive and build a life with him. Moving 2 years forward, we live together and I love him deeply, more and more every day. He takes incredible care of me during my pregnancy. He recently started psychotherapy. I watch him mature and grow into his role as a father, and I am filled with pride. I love being his wife and trust him with my life. Then this week when we started talking about the past, we have such conversations from time to time. He told me new facts about his old life. Some of them I won't repeat. It turned out that he had a history of betrayal, which happened once. Let me remind you that earlier I asked him if he had always been faithful. Plus, he admitted that he kept in touch with the girl he was seeing when we first started getting to know each other. After the second time they had sex, they exchanged messages for a whole month. In addition, sex was not necessarily associated with super committed relationship. Several times in his life he had simply dated for a long time and somehow ended up in bed with a girl. I asked him why he had been living a lie with me for so long. He said he had not been able to confess these things before and wanted to take them to his grave. I feel betrayed and devastated. I don't know how to rebuild trust and how in the future I won't be afraid that he's hiding something. I feel very sorry for him because I see how ashamed he is of his past actions and how he would like me to think well of him. The way I see it, on the other hand, is that he's confessed things before that he knew would be hard for me, but wouldn't be deal breakers. I don't believe it when he assures me now that he came clean and confessed everything, because he said so in the past and it was a lie. I'm big on trust and told him many times before our marriage that I can stand the difficult truth, but I can't stand lies. If I had known about all these things before we got married, I don't know what decision I would have made. But at least it would be based on truth and not manipulation. It breaks my heart that our baby will be born, this month or next, in the atmosphere of sadness and conflict. Now to the next story, Story 2. feeling like it's ending. I feel so hopeless and broken right now. I'm filled with shame, regret, grief, anger, and feeling like the biggest failure, and could use advice from those who have gone through separation or divorce. My husband and I have been together for 11 years, married for going on 7. When I met him, he was sober for a few years and told me that his sobriety is really important to him because he had issues with alcoholism/addiction in the past and had to go to rehab. Since he was several years sober and told me he wants to be sober for life, I felt safe to go about our relationship. We fell madly in love. I still love him so much. 2 years ago, after our third and our last, we've always wanted 3, baby was born, he relapsed soon after 10 years of sobriety. This was 2 years ago. The past 2 years have been a roller coaster with him drinking pretty much every night. Many nights of blackouts. Me basically being a parent solo and taking care of the house solo because he's constantly stoned and or drunk and unable to help with basic tasks or be there for anyone. A few months ago, we started therapy and both got on medication for depression. He also started a medication to help with cravings. He says it helps him and that all of these actions he has taken are signs of progress and everything being okay, but he has continued to drink the same. I've been carrying a heavy burden of everything and feeling constantly stressed out and anxious. When I tell him how I feel frustrated about him being constantly intoxicated and unable to help, he says things like, "Sorry, babe, I'll make it up to you." He makes a lot of empty promises. He only approaches me in sexual ways. He wants a lot of physical attention, but is never there for any genuine big conversations about things outside of sex. I feel used. Today I had a really big day. I had to drive a total of 8 hours for a big important interview. I've been preparing for that, he knew about, and he took the day off work to be with the kids. I had to wake up at 3:30 a.m. and drive 4 hours to my destination, have my interview and meeting, then I drove 4 hours back. Went and got groceries and came home. I came home to him looking trashed. He claims he only had 4 beers, but he had a lazy eye and looked pretty drunk and smelled like booze. There was a huge pile of dirty dishes. The one and only thing I asked him to help with today was the dishes. The kids had been glued to the screen majority of the day, and our oldest school-aged child told me that Dad picked up from school late. I asked why. I reminded him twice about our child's pickup time and had it in writing for him. His answer was, "I forgot about pickup." Literally, his only tasks today were to drop off and pick up our oldest at school, feed the younger kids, and do a load of dishes, chill the rest of the time. The kids informed me he just sat outside on the porch vaping and playing games on his phone majority of the day. There was mess everywhere and flies in the house because he wouldn't close the door every time he went to vape, and it's still fly season here. While I was gone, he was sending me sexual messages about how he loves me so much and how proud of me he is amongst X-rated comments. On my long-ass drive home, all I kept thinking was surely today, he's not getting trashed cause he's alone with the kids, and he knows I have a long, stressful day. I'm sure he did the dishes and I won't have to worry about them. This feels like a very small, reasonable request. I wanted a big hug from my spouse when I got home and to have a genuine conversation about my interview. Instead, he opened the door and I saw his drunkard face and I was grossed out. I saw the dishes and I felt repulsed. It was about 6 p.m. I played with the kids for a bit and started their bedtime routines. I asked him to please do the dishes because I'm really tired and need help with that. He said he would. 2 hours later at 8, I asked him about it, and he said, "Yeah, I will." He went outside and started smoking more pot. He went inside, attempted to do a few dishes, then gave up and went outside to smoke again and play on his phone. At 10, he said, "Sorry, babe, I can't, I'm tired, I'll make it up to you." I'm in the bedroom heading to sleep. I lock the door and want nothing to do with him. I don't want him touching me or anywhere near me, which he will do while saying how much he loves me and has my back, ironically. It's obviously far from just being the dishes. I'm preparing to apply for master's school. My program would start in a year, and as I was getting ready for bed, I realized how I wouldn't be able to get through it with my life like this. I need a solid, supportive partner. He doesn't care about my goals at all. When I told him about the program, he said, "Are you sure it's the right time?" Because he knows he would have to pick up the slack and help more. I'm starting to see how this guy's actions don't seem to show love, care, or consideration. I love him truly. I see so many good qualities in him and so many things I love about him. He treats people and our kids kindly. He is hardly ever mean to me. But the absolute lack of support and him consistently being drunk and or high feels impossible for me. I'm heartbroken about separating our family, but I feel so done, like I can't keep going like this and like it's making me really sick mentally.